So, as I got John Wilmot, it was given to me by Karthike, and it's a very interesting. He's a very interesting writer and a poet because in well, you had in the Restoration period, you had such good writers and all. You had like one of the person who was known for his scandals and all of his debaucheries and all, and he gave me one of his this poet. So I'm very glad that came across. I stumbled upon him, and why I think he is also like I would consider him as a poet. Yeah, many people consider him as more of a erotica and a pornographer writer, but he has his own charm. I mean, like not all everybody writes in in euphemistic or anything. Some of them will be straight up talking about the sexuality and all of that stuff, which is also so coming to the point. John Wilmot was from the age of Restoration, and as like before the Restoration, you had Puritans, the age of Puritans, the Puritan era, which basically said the Purification era, which had a lot of how do you say it? It has a lot of purification, as in to say that there were a lot of against a lot of things, like for example plays and all were banned. So as a matter of fact, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, like your iconic Shakespeare had, the Globe Theatre was near to a brothel area because they also thought that the theatre was not a good thing. It was one of the it was deemed one of the bad all right. So coming I'll be coming to the poetry, okay? And yeah, so the poetry is the disabled debauchery, and I've taken a short stanza from you. I have only taken four stanzas from you. So when my days of importance approach, and I am by pox and wines unlucky chanced, forced from the pleasing bellows of debauch, on the dull show of lazy temperance, my pain at least some respite shall afford, while I behold the battles you maintain, when fleets of glasses sail about the board, from whose broadsides volleys of wit shall rain. Nor let the sight of honourable scars, which my to forward valour did procure, frightened now new listed soldiers from the wars, past joys have more than paid what I endured. Should any youth, worth being drunk, prove nice, and from his fair inviter mainly shrinks, it will please the ghost of my departed vice if at my counsel he repent and drink. So this is the fourth stanza that I chose. In the previous stanzas, is it okay if I continue the explanation of this, Vedant? Yep. So yeah, so the explanation is that the disabled debauchery is basically about this poet who has reveled and and philandered in a lot of places. And so at his end of his life, when he contacted syphilis, in those days it was known as pox, smallpox, or some kind of disease. They didn't know what it was, but most probably he died of a STD, the sexually transmitted disease. So in that moment of time, he had written this poem, and he discussed this as the soldiers of war, as the soldier as the people who come to the brothel area, and war is the brothel house. And he talks about, like, he's very well aware of who he is how how he portrays himself. He's very well aware. So in a sense, he showcased that he went out in a blaze of glory. He did not say that, oh, don't do this or you'll end up like me. He's like, do this and you will, and you'll become like me. So in yeah, so this was the identification of him. I would like to speak more about him because this is very interesting, but as the time is short, I'm cutting it off.
Yeah, I never had doubts on Terrence's dexterity on delivering English poems. Um, uh, and this one was not not different. And why am I not surprised that it actually comes from him? His choices are very good. Uh, One thing I wanted to understand from the poem was that when you are talking about the Puritan movement, where there were huge restrictions, and the blasphemy laws were extremely vague, and they were not very how can I say, they were not very defined. I mean, anything could have been taken as blasphemy. So how this poem is skirting around that issue? That is what I wanted to know. I mean, I cannot comment much in 1 minute, so this is what I wanted to ask.
So yeah, Kalyan, that's a nice thing. So see, so you have to know a little background because when King Charles was dethroned, then the Puritans came in. So Wilmot's father fought with the Puritans with Charles II. So when he gained back to his reign, uh, Earl of Rochester was greatly appreciated. Like he went out for all of his tours and all under the under the kingship of King Charles. In fact, he was handsomely paid, like approximately 500 to 800 pounds, which is a huge sum. That's like £1 million in today's money, 800 pounds to £1 million in today's summer money. So he was very well. And in fact, he when his father died, Earl was like Charles was like the second father to Earl, and in that sense, it gave him a lot of power to speak whatever he liked, like boundaries nahi rakhe the. But once he had written a satire to King Charles, that is where that it happened, and he fled for his life because he by mistake he given a piece of paper that talked how King Charles was a loose man, like he fell for loose women and loose men. So that is how it all fell apart for him.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Um, am I audible?
Yeah, perfectly, perfectly.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Pramod. I'm from Gangtok, Sikkim, and mm, I come to this group through Khushbu. Um, Khushbu used to come to my online poetry room, so I do an event called the Poetry Room. I used to do it offline as well as online, and I've been around poetry all my life, but I haven't read any poetry. I've just written poetry. So I feel out of place here among people who know so much in depth about poetry and uh, other things. But I'm not going to waste anyone's time. I'll just get to maybe reading a poem that I have selected. And I don't feel the need to explain any of my poetry because I think you have to feel it. Okay, so I'll get to reading the poem. Before that, thanks for having me here. So here's my poem. It's an untitled poem. The world tells us when to be happy. They said, eat cake. In our drunken stupor, we forgot. They disguised it as hope for a better day, for a better time. And yet the bombs kept dropping. And yet the bombs kept dropping. And no seeds of empathy were sown. We became so self absorbed without a cause. We fight for some self satisfaction. We endure for some fantasy, a life of mimicry, fueled by envy. And suddenly, everywhere, the songs were all the same. And suddenly, everywhere, the songs were all the same. Such a tragedy. They said, march. Like some military exercise on cue, we marched when we were told to march. And when somebody asked a random face in the crowd, what is the fanfare for? They didn't have a clue. The world tells us when to be happy. They said, eat cake. In our drunken stupor, we forgot what happiness looks like, so much that it was mostly store bought, and nobody sat down and spared a thought. And we all ate cake and yelled out, Happy New Year. Thank you. Yes, of course. I'm here for the attest.
So my opinion was that of the poem that in that era there was this blasphemy law, and now also the situation is similarly going to it. I means thought that life is getting full circle again. Means such poetry is now also it is so relevant as the current situations are. And second thing I want to say that the poet initially thought that Terence told that story that he initially thought he can get away by saying anything, but one wrong move made him in a disfavor of the king. So the situation is right now that many people think that oh they are in the same party or same gang, so this law like means any club on the freedom of speech won't affect them, but sooner or later it will come to bite them. That's it I want to say.
Um, can I say something? Can I also add to what you said? So according to me, what I have seen and why, like I have chose a much cleaner version of his poetry. If I have to get to his other poetry, it is straight up pornography. To be frankly speaking, so um, no, I personally, this is my opinion because he used a lot of cuss words, which I don't feel it's appropriate. Okay, but he has written now. You have to understand that this Earl of Rochester was highly educated because he got the backing of the king. He was highly educated, so it was not like he was like a sadak chap writer ki kuch bhi likh diya aur wo famous ho gaya. No, he was very educated. He traveled the world, and you have to understand, he started debauching by the age of 14. So he had a by the age of 13 or 14 he started debauchery. So the word debauchery basically means to indulge in sexual activities. So at such tender age he started to go into these brothels. So it literally changed the psychology. His human psyche has totally been changed. And you have to understand that just say in modern times how we have these rapper where they use a lot of cuss words, 2 seconds more. आई थिंक ही इज दैट एराज ऑफ दैट वो जमाने का वो रैपर होता था जहाँ पे कसवर्ड होता था. दैट इज माय इंटरप्रिटेशन. Prabhav, it's your turn to speak out your opinion.
Okay, it's mine. Oh, मुझे वेदांत की आवाज नहीं है actually. I'm sorry. Okay. First of all, तो I would like to appreciate Mr. Pramod uh, for a beautiful poetry. And as Vedant said, कि Terence की याद दिलाते both recitation and writing skills. And it was amazing to hear you, Mr. Pramod. Secondly, we have heard a poem by recited by Terence. It was of John Wilton, right?
His name was John Wilmot. Wilmot.
Yes,
W
yes,
I L M O T. Wilmot.
yes, Wilmot. And we have already heard the poem, and we got some questions and a good interpretation by Terence as well. I would like to add one thing. He's famous for writing satires, right? And satires are actually one of the most important way of writing. We cannot say everything directly, and that's why the need of satire is important. And the poet picked by Terence or Kartike maybe is actually the person who made satire and satirical writing famous in 17th century maybe. So for example, one of his poem is, if I'm not wrong, a satire on mankind, in which he writes, in doubts of boundless sea where he liked to drown, books bear him to up a while and make him try to swim with bladders of philosophy in hopes still to take the escaping light. So the range of thinking this writer provides, I was just trying to highlight it. He can comment on the thing which are going wrong, he can comment on the solution. And that's it. We have got enough on this. I just wanted to add this. Thank you, Terence, for bringing up.
To be honestly speaking, satire is a nice way to criticize someone in a प्यार, like बोलते ना छड़ी भी मारो और लाठी भी ना टूटे. So satire is always considered that way, in my personal opinion. But yeah, thank you for your feedback on that.
मुस्काती हुई गाली.
Struggled very hard to get network. Uh, uh, I have to appreciate Terence. Very good answers, very good research, and very uh, aptly described. I'd like to give you 30 seconds of my time so that you can read the poem once again for all of us very quickly. Okay.
So
I like
the part
I
that
would just
I
I
have
would just
chosen,
like to
right?
add that the question of Kalyan was, I mean, very great discussions. Raise your voices question, Prabhav's comment referring to Dushyant Kumar, and raise your voices query on what is happening today. Very relevant. काश और समय होता नहीं है तो Terence, just take 30 seconds and read the poem once again. I'll
Do
give
you
it to
want
you.
me to read the full poem or just the one that I've selected?
The one you've selected, of course. 30 seconds
Okay.
में जितना आता है, so we don't lose time.
Okay, so I'll read it quickly this time. So, when my days of importance approach, and I am, by pox and wine unlucky chance, forced from the pleasing bellows of debauch, on the dull shores of lazy temperance, my pain at least some respite shall afford, while I behold the battles you maintain, when fleets of glasses sails about the board, from whose broadsides volley of wit shall rain. Nor let the sight of honourable scars, which my too forward valor did procure, frighten new listed soldiers from the wars. Past joys have more than paid what I endured, which my youth, worth being drunk, proved nice, and from his fair inviter mainly shrink. It will please the ghost of my departed voice if at my counsel he repent and drink.
My only complaint is that I wish you had taken only 2-3 stanzas and explained the lines so that we could have understood even clearer. Instead of having such a, it's very long, honestly. So I think बाकी सबको समझ आ जाती. but maybe the next time you can do that. Okay, you know, just take 2-3 stanzas या 6 लाइन ले लो और उसी को एक्सप्लेन करो ताकि मजा आता.
No,
But
because
really
actually
great.
this one, if I wanted to do the whole thing, because this talks about his whole life. Technically, this
हाँ,
was his whole life.
but सबको समझ नहीं आती ना.
Exactly,
Lost
that
of
is a.
context हो जाती है.
But I would like to do a session on him. I would like to do a
Yeah,
session on, because
sometime,
he
sometime.
has a very good. I think it has
The
opened a
reason
good
I gave
opinion
you,
in my
the
head.
reason I gave this poet to you is just to let people know कि ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ हमारे यहाँ पे censorship के झगड़े चल रहे हैं, उस जमाने में भी चल रहे थे. But I think
Definitely.
1 minute is up. 1 minute is up, so we'll go back to Vedant.